We are taking a live look in Rochester on this first alert day. The entire KTTC viewing area is under a flood watch. We have complete coverage on the concern here and around the state.
Live from your local news leader, this is KTTC News.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us on this first alert day. It has been a busy morning for meteorologist Ted Schmidt. We sure appreciate you keeping us up to date on all kinds of things. So what is the latest right now with this situation?
Look, things have settled a little bit now. We're starting to see another batch of thunderstorms develop. Just moments ago, we had full-scale sunshine. It was actually rather pleasant on the weather patio around 10 o'clock this morning. Now, in the last 15 minutes, we've gone from sunny to overcast. In the next few minutes, we're going to deal with a bit of at least light rain. Heavier rain is still ahead of us, though, later today, and because of that, first alert day is still in order because it's going to be heavy rain and severe weather. That is a concern today. We haven't seen any severe thunderstorms so far from the situation, but we may see some late in the afternoon. Level 2 of 5, the current risk of severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. with this current next upcoming round, and then perhaps some more rounds tomorrow in the morning and afternoon. But right now, area-wide, looking at some flood potential with rain. Rochester's already had more than an inch in the north half of town, and we have some heavy rain moving through Goodhue County and also areas north of Dodge Center and Dodge County. That's all just developing in the past few minutes. Right now, we have a flood watch that's remaining in effect until 1 o'clock tomorrow, so a little more than a day away, but we're still looking at the possibility of an additional 3 or 4 inches of rain on top of the up to 2 inches of rain that has accumulated the past 24 hours. Still excessive rain outlook calling for the level 3 of 4 from the Weather Prediction Hydrology Center, and that is telling us that there's a really strong chance of flooding in that red area, and that is anywhere from Mason City to Rochester to La Crosse in our local area. Since midnight, Rochester, 3/4 of an inch of rain at the airport. We've had some reports, so north of Rochester, areas around Pine Island have had more than 3 inches, and Zerota had 2 inches. So quite a bit of rain has fallen in some pockets. Severe weather risk primarily 4 to 9 today, and then looking at maybe some strong storms again after midnight tonight, and heavy downpours of rain. High temperatures around 80 today. Occasional peaks at the sun between some of these showers. Otherwise, a warm, humid day with downpours of rain, and still a chance of damaging winds in some of those late afternoon and evening thunderstorms again after about 4 o'clock. That may be the case for some of the storms today, and again, another round of that like that may happen late tonight.
Yeah, a lot of rain that we just simply don't need to.
Yeah, so we've had a lot. Yeah.
Very wet out there. Thank you so much. MnDOT has closed a portion of Interstate 90 and some other state highways in the southwest part of the state due to flooding. The closure is impacting I-90 from Worthington west to Laverne. Highway 75 is closed from Laverne south to the Iowa border. Highway 91 north of Adrian also closed to traffic due to flooding. MnDOT says drivers should use caution in south central and southwest Minnesota as the situation is evolving. A reminder, when a road is closed, it is illegal to travel in that area, and breaking the law can lead to fines up to $1,000 and/or 90 days in jail. While the southern part of the state is saturated and dealing with some standing water, there is a catastrophic situation underway in parts of northern Minnesota. St. Louis County is dealing with flood damage estimated at $50 million. Cook is one of the towns in St. Louis County. As the waters were rising, people came together, sandbagging for 24 hours straight. Others joined when they heard about what was happening, including some people vacationing on Lake Vermilion. One resident said that is one close community, and they want to do anything they can to protect it.
We've got, a tight bunch of people that are just like get done what needs to be done, whether it's volunteering, whether it's helping with local fundraisers, things like this. It's just show up and help everyone out.
There are multiple locations across town where people are sandbagging to prevent more flooding. The St. Louis County Rescue Squad went door to door, checking on residents, making sure they understand the situation. They cannot force any resident to leave, so they worked on a self-rescue plan if necessary. Here at home, RPU is keeping a close eye on the forecast, and crews are ready for any potential flooding or outages here. We checked in with the utility just a short time ago.
We're ready for an outage right now if that were to happen. We're ready if there's, 50-mile-an-hour winds. So we're always ready. We're always prepared. What we'll do, though, is just if we have that opportunity to prep ahead of time, we do, and just coordinate and line up our crews and resources that would be needed.
Benson also touched on some of the challenges RPU faces during flooding and storms. The conditions can slow the restoration process for power outages, and we're going to take a deeper look into that tonight on KTTC. Rain has led to the cancellation of 2 big Rochester Fest events planned for tomorrow. Every year, families look forward to Country Breakfast on the Farm. Organizers had hoped the event planned for North Creek Dairy near Chatfield could be held rain or shine, but this morning decided it would be best to cancel the event for this year. The grand opening event and concerts for the new Chester Woods Park Amphitheater are also canceled. County leaders hope to find a time later this summer to celebrate the new outdoor addition to the park. This is a good day to stay weather aware, and you can always get KTTC First Alert weather updates anywhere, anytime by downloading our apps for both news and weather right to your smartphone. And another really helpful tool, our 24/7 weather live stream. You can find these forecast updates on our website, kttc.com. Happening today, the Charles City Community School Board will be meeting with its attorney to discuss next steps regarding the lawsuit filed by the interim superintendent against the board. Ann Lundquist claims the 5 board members violated the state's open meeting laws, causing her intentional emotional distress. The board is questioning her fitness for duty due to alleged behavior that was not publicly addressed. According to Lundquist, on April 18th, she left notes of private staff evaluations on a district copy machine. Those comments got back to the board. Lundquist was placed on administrative leave the very next day. We're told she will remain on a paid district employee until her contract is up at the end of the month. The meeting with the attorney starts at 2 this afternoon, and we're going to share updates on what happens right here on KTTC. The State Patrol has released the name of the Austin man killed in a motorcycle crash Thursday. This happened just before noon at the intersection of Highway 218 and Highway 30. 57-year-old Darren Thomas of Austin was riding his Honda motorcycle. A Saturn sedan driven by a 21-year-old woman from Montgomery, Minnesota, was also northbound on 218 when they collided on the highway. Thomas was killed in this accident, and no one in the sedan was hurt. We're getting new information from the Fillmore County Sheriff's Office about a crash involving an Amish buggy and a pickup truck. This happened about 4 p.m. on County Road 21 at the intersection with 130th Street north of Canton. Sheriff John DeGeorge says the driver of the pickup swerved to avoid the eastbound buggy, which had 4 people in it. The pickup driver fatally struck the horse pulling it. No one in the buggy was hurt. The driver of the pickup had some minor scrapes, but no one involved required medical attention. An announcement from Rochester Public Schools: a search is getting underway for a new principal for Century High School. Plus, we have details on a major ruling handed down this morning by the Supreme Court. And a new Miss Minnesota will be crowned tonight. We have details on all of these stories just ahead.
At KTTC, you can trust that our commitment...
In a major ruling this morning, the Supreme Court upheld a federal law that bars domestic abusers from owning guns. In its 8-1 decision, the High Court rejected the argument pressed by gun rights groups that the law in question violated the Second Amendment. The decision may help support similar federal gun regulations that have been challenged since the Supreme Court vastly expanded gun rights in 2022. That ruling led to significant confusion for lower court judges reviewing Second Amendment lawsuits. Chief Justice John Roberts alluded to that in writing the majority opinion, saying lower courts, quote, misunderstood the methodology of our recent Second Amendment cases. Justice Clarence Thomas filed the only dissent. An announcement from Rochester Public Schools: a change of leadership for Century High School is in the works. Superintendent Kemp Pickell emailed Century parents this morning, sharing that after a leave of absence, Principal Mondi Schwartz will not be returning to her leadership post. Schwartz has been on leave since January to care for her husband as he battles cancer, and has decided she will not be able to return to Century. Pickell says the search for a new school leader is getting underway, and he hopes the position will be filled before the start of a new school year this fall. Later tonight, the next Miss Minnesota will officially be crowned. 19 young women from across the state are competing for educational scholarships and the title of Miss Minnesota 2024. Whoever is chosen will then have the opportunity to go on and compete for Miss America. Angelina Amerigo is our current representative. Tonight at Treasure Island Resort and Casino, she will officially pass on her crown. It all starts at 7 p.m. and we're going to keep you posted on who our new Miss Minnesota will be. We have a lot to talk about in the weather department on this first alert day. Ted, the entire viewing area is under a flood watch.
There's a big flood watch. That's right. Another 24 hours of that going on with heavy rain potential, adding on to the rain that has already fallen. Flooding, a big concern, a big topic, and strong storms may accompany some of those heavy rain producing storms. We'll have the latest in your severe weather chances and a look at your full 7-day forecast after our Friday market report.
Missed part of our newscast? KTTC has you covered.
Here's your first alert weather with meteorologist Ted Schmidt.
Ted has been covering this weather event from all angles today. We appreciate all your time and keeping us informed on a first alert day where there's major flooding concerns all over.
A lot of flooding concerns. A lot of rain has fallen in recent days and weeks, and now today and even tomorrow. And we have at least 24 more hours of a major concern with some heavy rainfall. I mean, there have been some reports and some radar estimates we've been tracking in the past several hours showing really heavy rain to our west and northwest. Right now, there are some showers developing. Nothing heavy falling right now, or extremely heavy anyway, but we're looking at some extra clouds. This is live imagery from some of our Lewis Dodauto cameras. Moments ago, we had sunshine in Rochester. We're back to clouds, showers right around the Med City right now. We have a flood watch that remains in effect until 1 o'clock tomorrow. Heavy rains, strong storms possible. It's a first alert day because of the threat of flooding and because maybe some of those strong storms involved in the situation as well. Strong storms possible this afternoon. And again, late tonight, maybe a couple of rounds, maybe even 3 rounds of severe weather in some of these storms. Right now, development has really taken place in the past hour or so. More of that coming out of Albert Lee, moving to Rochester. Heavy activity around Mankato. That's where a flood warning is in effect. They've had up to 6 inches of rain on Doppler radar estimates in that area already, and some more is falling in that same zone. All of this just north of the stalled boundary, this front that's stalled across the Minnesota-Iowa border, and that's where the focus of some of the heaviest rain will be moving forward between today, tonight, and tomorrow. Radar estimates 1 to 3 inches in the north part of the Olmsted County area to the northwest. Here at the studio, almost 2 inches of rain in about 3 hours' time. 1 to 3 inches to the west. You see about 3 to 6 inches near Mankato and St. James to the west. 1.9 inches here at KTTC. You see some of the darker coloring north end of the Med City because of some of that heavy rain earlier. Flood watch again until 1 o'clock tomorrow. The entire area, the entire region really in this watch as we look for that heavy moisture-laden air. With that front stalled nearby, just all the ingredients for something heavy. The shift has been slightly southward, so centered right in our area, especially now involving more of Iowa than recently in the excessive rain outlook. So we're looking at the possibility of some really heavy stuff, even now involving North Iowa, where there may be as much as 4 inches or 5 inches of rain. So slight change in focus, but we're all still involved in that watch and the possibility of some really heavy stuff. Showers and storms, heavy rain today. today. More storms chances tomorrow into the mid-afternoon hours, and then things quiet down. We'll have some sunshine, maybe as early as tomorrow afternoon, out of the rain, and a quiet Sunday. But level 2 of 3, or rather 2 of 5 of the Storm Prediction Center for Saturday, with damaging winds, hail, and maybe tornadoes as that cold front comes in from the west, and flood warnings remain in effect for Wabasha and Winona. Both areas now reaching flood stage. Winona reaches it on Sunday officially, but it could be reaching almost more than 16 feet at the crest next weekend. That is quite a bit higher than it is now, 5 feet higher than the river stage right now. So that's a big change, in Winona headed our way in about the next 5 days. 79 right now in Rochester, 81 in Osage. Temperatures will actually cool a bit as rain continues to build in. Rainfall amounts around the area: Pine Island 3.1, Zumbrota 2 inches, here in Rochester 1.9 at the studio, almost 0.8 of an inch at the airport. Future track today, we're looking at more thunderstorms. Watch the storms really firing up between now and about 4 o'clock, becoming much more widespread. That's when we start seeing maybe some damaging wind gusts and some downpours of extreme rainfall. Heavy storms through about 9 o'clock, maybe a lull around midnight. And around 2 or 3, another line of strong storms comes to the area, perhaps producing some strong wind gusts. And then later tomorrow, here's where the bigger outlook for severe weather comes in between about 1 and maybe 5 o'clock with that cold front moving through. That's when we may see a couple of tornadoes pop up along that front, just right dynamics for strong activity involving that type of weather mode. Looking at strong storms about 4 to 9 today, about 1 to 5 o'clock after midnight tonight, and again after about 1 to 5 tomorrow afternoon. 77 days, showers and thunderstorms, some heavy rain, a couple of strong storms, south winds around 15 miles per hour. 68 tonight, some heavy rainfall and some strong late night thunderstorms. And a couple of rounds of strong storms tomorrow, some of the afternoon, as that cold front moves in. Things should settle down after 5 or 6, so tomorrow evening looks a lot better. 78 the high temperature tomorrow. Behind that line of storms, looking at a pleasant Sunday, and not many rain chances next week. A couple of small chances Tuesday and Friday, but probably the most sunshine we've seen on the 7-day forecast in a week or two. Is something we're looking forward to, because it is right now stormy and unfortunately a little too wet.
Yeah, and of course, if you're just tuning in, this rain is impacting some of the big events of Rochester Fest. We shared that Country Breakfast on the Farm will not be happening tomorrow, even though they had hoped to pull it off. Even if there was some rain, they just decided they couldn't. And also the celebration of the amphitheater at Chester Woods is going to have to be pushed back to another time. So, Ted, thank you for all the information. Of course, we're keeping you covered with what's happening here, but much of Minnesota is struggling right now. In fact, at this hour, Governor Tim Walz is seeing storm damage firsthand in northern Minnesota. We're taking a live look right now at the governor in Cook, Minnesota. This is one of the communities hit hard by flooding in St. Louis County, as we reported earlier today at noon. St. Louis County is estimated to have $50 million of flood damage. The governor is with the mayor of Cook, who helped to lead some sandbagging efforts there, and other state leaders, including the DPS commissioner. So look for more on the help this area needs and how the state will be reaching out right here on KTTC. It is a tearjerker for sure. We are getting to the core of why cutting onions makes us cry. That's next in our Moment of Science.
KTTC.
It's a cooking staple that often brings us to tears. Dan Smith explores why cutting onions makes our eyes water in this Moment of Science.
The guests are coming soon, you've got your ingredients, and dinner's looking so good it's enough to make you cry. Literally. This week, we're taking on the complicated science behind a common kitchen problem, tearing up when you're cutting onions. Now, we've mentioned photosynthesis in a few episodes now, with plants using water and sunlight to create chemical energy for itself. Well, with that water comes minerals absorbed through the roots, and onion plants are particularly efficient at absorbing sulfur, which the plant uses in a bunch of amino acids, or those so-called building blocks of life. Here's where you come in. Cutting onions breaks open the cells and lets those amino acids mix in with newly released enzymes for a very potent cocktail. You end up creating sulfenic acids combined with things like ammonia, eventually ending up with this complicated chemical. Don't worry, there will not be a test. All you need to know is that it's what's directly responsible for making your eyes water. It vaporizes easily, wafting up to your eyes and nose, and your brain says no thank you and triggers your tears as a defense. That would deter most animals, but seeing as humans can be stupid when we're hungry, we press on. That defense makes onions a lacrimator, basically a fancy way of saying a chemical makes you shed tears, which does include tear gas and pepper spray. Curiously, garlic actually has a bit more sulfur content than your average onion, yet the latter gets the bad rap for the more potent result. Plus, when you heat them up, they tend to enhance other flavors instead of taking center stage. Thank goodness for that. There are actually some decent ways to reduce your chances of reaction. Throughout the centuries, things like ancient Chinese ginger or Elizabethan-era parsley were suggested, though there's not much evidence for it. Pearl and sweet onions have less sulfur than your usual reds and whites, and refrigerating the onions helps to suppress those tearful effects. When you're ready to cut them, the sharper you can get that knife, the better, as a clean cut damages fewer cells on the way through. Some people swear by other unproven techniques like biting on a wooden utensil or an unlit match or even a slice of bread while you're cutting, but that sounds more like coping than actual prevention. Look, I get I'm hungry when I'm cooking too, but I'm guessing the focaccia tastes better than the fork. For this week's Moment of Science, I'm Dan Smith.
Pretty helpful knowledge there. Well, here's Howard with what he's up to in the kitchen.
Need to get out the mayo because the potato salad we're making today is practically naked. Yeah, I said naked, yet it's loaded with flavor. With all the grilling, barbecuing, and church suppers still to come, if you don't want your side dishes to fall into the, oh, not that again category, then we have just what you're looking for. It's an old-fashioned German potato salad that's always welcome. We start by boiling about 4 pounds of thinly sliced potatoes. Once they're tender, we drain them. And while they cool, we finish cooking some bacon until it's crispy. Then we take it out of the pan and add a bit of vegetable oil and a chopped onion to the drippings. When the onion is tender, we stir in some vinegar, water, sugar, and a bit of salt. Now the potatoes go in along with half of the crumbled bacon and some chopped parsley. And after it warms through, we top it with the rest of the bacon and it's ready to serve. And do we ever have options? We can serve it hot right from the skillet, at room temperature, or even chilled. And with the smokiness of the bacon, the zing of the vinegar, and the tang from the onion, what's not to love? And like always, to get the recipe for our German potato salad, all you have to do is go online now. This way you'll be ready when you want something different that's really tasty. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found an old world way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
That is a labor of love right there, making that, and some indoor time in the kitchen could be just the thing this weekend, because we're continuing to look at a concerning situation out there on this first alert day. Ted, what's the latest?
It is the first alert day because of the heavy rain threat and no severe weather happening right now. In fact, we have not had any severe thunderstorm warnings so far, but we've had some downpours of rainfall that are going to add up to perhaps lead to some flood warnings in time. We have a flood watch in effect, though. And it's raining now in Lake Pepin. You see the droplets in the camera lens. That's live from Lake City with our Louis Stodato camera. Rochester has a little bit of rain falling right now as well. Dark skies. You know, it was not long ago. We were back into full sunshine, but as we're back to storms now, and we have a first alert day, level 2 of 5, the severe weather risk from the Storm Prediction Center. A lot of that developing late this afternoon, and we may have some damaging winds in some of the strongest storms from 4 to 9 o'clock this evening, and maybe another round or two of that late tonight. And then tomorrow afternoon, as that front moves through, the cold front tomorrow will be get at the end of the whole thing, but it's going to be maybe the most severe weather part of this. Ahead of that, a lot of rain, though, and there are some heavy showers already building. The radar is really lighting up quickly, building quickly, coming in from the southwest, and more of that's going to go on through today and tonight into tomorrow. Flood watch in effect for the entire area until 1 o'clock tomorrow. We've already seen totals anywhere from about 1 to 4 inches. I saw a viewer from near Mantorville and West Concord with about 4 inches of rainfall, and we're looking at the possibility of seeing that much again in the area. So excessive flood situation, excessive rainfall outlook, that is from the Weather Prediction Hydrology Center. Rain chances today, some strong storms perhaps parts of the afternoon and again late tonight. But all of those green areas where you're seeing the heavy rainfall and the widespread rain, that's really going to be going on more than anything. Look for highs around 79 today with some showers and storms and staying warm and humid and wet tonight as well. Ted's Trivia, psychrometer measures what? Have you heard of a psychrometer before, Jess?
No. Is this where we, oh no, we're going to answer it in a little bit, right?
Yeah, we'll answer it in a few minutes.
Yes.
If we remember.
All right, psychrometer. Thank you, Ted. Something new is blooming in the fields near Casson. We're going to check out a project made possible through a state agricultural grant. The difference this could make in feeding livestock. We'll be right back.
4th of July savings are in full swing at
A unique plant with a fun name, not usually seen in Minnesota, is now making its home in Casson. This is a project a company called Stable Feed is doing thanks to a state agricultural grant aimed at producing sustainable livestock feed. Our Megan Zempel learned more about it.
Some call this sainfoin, some call this San Juan. Some say call it whatever you want, but this plant is making its home right here in southeastern Minnesota. A field of tall pink flowers has taken over an acre of land on a farm in Casson.
Other people call it sainfoin, and then in France, I imagine they call it sainfoin.
The name in French means healthy hay, and it's been around for thousands of years. It's a perennial grown in Europe, Canada, and some states out west. But for the first time, it's growing in Minnesota. It prefers cool, dry climates, and Minnesota's weather, well, can be challenging. The project is made possible by an AGRI Sustainable Agriculture Grant from the state of Minnesota.
The special thing about sainfoin is it has bypass proteins, and so they actually bind the proteins and help it move through further down the animal so that those proteins are utilized at a higher rate.
The goal? To preserve the health of the soil and use fewer pesticides. Elwood says that's not always done with traditional alfalfa. He says sainfoin is more resilient.
You can grow alfalfa in a sustainable way, but by nature, you take a lot of cuttings off of it, which means you have to put a lot of stuff into the soil, which may or may not be good for that soil.
Don Prohaska happily lent his land to the project. Stable Feed approached him last year.
I said, sure, I got one here. It's been chisel plowed and disc, and it's all ready to plant. Something new and exciting, and I hope it works out good. We're not for sure, but I think it'll turn out good.
And as far as what this field will look like this time next year, well, they tell me they're hoping it will be bigger and better than ever. In Casson, Megan Zempel, KTTC News.
Thank you, Megan. How in the world is the world doing when it comes to fossil fuel use? Plus, McDonald's is rolling out its new $5 menu items. We've been waiting to hear what those are. Here's today's Ag Day Minute.
I'm Clinton Griffiths with today's Ag Day Minute, coming to you from our studios in Kansas City. Now, the world used a record amounts of oil, coal, and gas last year. That's according to a report from the Energy Institute. It says global fossil fuel consumption reached a record high, up 1.5%, while greenhouse gas emissions from energy use increased 2.1%. However, researchers also found the world is adding renewable energy sources at record levels. Global biofuels production increased by 8%, with the biggest increases seen in the U.S. and Brazil. A Pennsylvania man recovering after getting trapped in a grain bin. It happened on a farm near the Pennsylvania-Maryland border. The man was found trapped chest high in corn. Responders rigged up ropes, harnesses, and other grain rescue equipment to get to the man and got him out in about 4.5 hours. He was treated at the hospital and then released. The president of McDonald's USA says they have heard fans loud and clear. The fast food giant is now gearing up to offer some $5 value meals. The response comes after viral social posts circulated that the fast food chain has raised prices beyond the rates of inflation. The value meals are being offered for a limited time and only at participating restaurants. The deals start next Tuesday. For more Ag News, watch Ag Day weekdays on the station or anytime at agweb.com.
Ag Day Minute brought to you by Jen Bush. Your experience.
Here's your first alert weather with meteorologist Ted Schmidt.
A lot of rain overnight and this morning. Now we're looking at more coming in. Dark skies as we look toward the west for the bell tower to CC Heights. Live with our Lewiston auto camera. It is a first alert day. We are tracking some heavy rain showers and the threat of some severe weather. The biggest element, the biggest concern, though, overall for all of us is that heavy rain situation. We're looking at a flood watch. The entire area, in fact, really the entire region, upper Mississippi Valley, is in this flood watch as there's a front draped right across the heart of our area. The focus of these rain chances, and I have a chance of maybe a couple of strong storms later this afternoon and tonight. Even through tomorrow, a chance of some severe weather to go with the heavy rain threat until maybe late tomorrow when the system finally moves out of here. But right now, rain is really building, and the map is becoming very colorful. They really are. Just moments ago, we had just a couple of spotty showers, and we actually had some sunshine here at the studio. It was sunny up until about 11:30, but now it's looking rather wet. Not severe weather happening, but you see that thunderstorm activity really firing up along and north of this boundary. There's a front draped across the Minnesota-Iowa border, and it's not really moving much. It's going to be the focus of those storm chances for the next couple of days. Radar estimates going back to, basically midnight last night with this rain going on. 1 to 3 inches in the north side of Rochester and areas north and westward. Some of the viewer reports we have coming in really reflecting this. In fact, that's conservative. We have had at least 2 or 3 4-inch reports. 3 to 6 inches close to Mankato. That certainly is going to impact the Minnesota River Valley. And one viewer who is traveling over to Louisville in Watonwan County had 5 inches of rain measured there. 9 inches rather here at the studio. You see the much more on this end of town versus the southern end of town at the airport. It was less than 1 inch of rain, at least so far. Flood watch in effect until 1 o'clock tomorrow for the entire region. We have the level 3 of 4 from the excessive rain outlook for today, tonight, and tomorrow morning from the Weather Prediction Hydrology Center. Look for as much as 5 inches of rainfall. You see everybody in red. That's all of us pretty much at this point. And that's going to be a concern here moving forward for the rest of today. For showers and storms, maybe some strong storms. If we get any severe weather, it would be damaging wind gusts in some of those storms at this point. Tomorrow we add the tornadic element as a cold front comes in, enough dynamics that we could see that happen early in the afternoon. Once that line moves out, that front moves through tomorrow afternoon, in the late afternoon, then things should quiet down for a few days. But level 2 risk for the Storm Prediction Center for a big part of the area. That is until that cold front moves through. That happens between noon and 5 o'clock. And looking at tornadic activity, otherwise damaging wind gusts and some hail, of course. Heavy rain, too. 79 right now in Rochester, Osage 84, Mesa City 83. It'll likely level off here and then cool as more rain builds into the area. Totals specifically, Mantorville 4 1/4 inches, Pine Island 3.3 inches, Orinoco more than 3 inches. Here in Rochester, one viewer just west of here on the other side of the highway, 2 1/4 inches. But here at the studio, 1.9 inches in 3 hours. That's how much time it took to get almost 2 inches of rain. And we're going to see a situation like that unfolding for the rest of today. More robust showers and thunderstorms this afternoon, right through tonight. Strong activity until about 9 or 10. That looks to sag southward. Another batch comes in from the west around 2 or 3. This could pose a strong wind threat as well as heavy rain threat. And then tomorrow, here comes the cold front. There it is, right around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, moving through. But there's that severe weather risk attached to that. And then sunshine late in the day tomorrow and sunshine all through the day on Sunday. Much more peaceful day. Severe weather chances late this afternoon into the evening hours and then again after midnight. So timing that out, kind of difficult with the storms as they continue to evolve and develop and to move through, but a chance of maybe a couple of strong storms to go with the heavy rain threat. 79, steady basically, or cooling as showers move through. South winds around 15 miles per hour. Tonight, 68, showers and thunderstorms, some heavy rain at times. And tomorrow's heavy rain potential all the way until mid to late afternoon until that front moves through. A high of 78 degrees. Some sunshine perhaps at times also late in the day behind that line of activity of that front. It actually might end up being a decent evening after 6 p.m. or so tomorrow. And the Sunday looks nice with some sunshine. Next week, only a couple of chances of rain. Not big chances either. And temperatures looking pretty reasonable. So things to look forward to in the days to come. Ted's Trivia, a psychrometer measures what?
Psychrometer. I have not heard of this, so I'm going to go with solar.
Actually, we call it a sling psychrometer. You spin it and use it to get wet bulb reading, and that's how you determine the humidity, or in more specific terms, sometimes you use it to get the relative humidity, but measuring humidity with the psychrometer.
Okay, would we have a high meeting or
It's
rating?
pretty damp out there, yes.
So a useful tool on a day like today. Thank you, Ted. The Olympic excitement is just getting started. We're taking you to Oregon for the track and field trials as some of the fastest runners are giving it their all, with a trip to Paris to represent Team USA on the line. We'll be right back.
KTTC weather.
The fierce competition for a spot on Team USA continues today, now moving to the Pacific Northwest, with close to 1,000 hopefuls gathering in Eugene, Oregon, for the start of the U.S. track and field trials. NBC's Jay Gray takes us there.
Hey there, welcome to the Pacific Northwest, Eugene, Oregon, also known as Tracktown, USA, and this incredible venue, Hayward Stadium on the University of Oregon campus. This is a spot that those in the sport of track and field say is a premier venue, one of the best in the world, and it's the perfect place to hold the USA track and field trials. Look, this is where American athletes make the pilgrimage to try and earn a spot on what many say is the toughest team to make in the world, because it has such a history of being so strong in international competition, and this year especially stacked with a ton of athletes who, if they make it through all of this, will have a pretty good shot at bringing home a medal from Paris. Two of those we are watching closely in the premier event as far as track and field is concerned, the 100-meter dash. You've got Sha'Carri Richardson, who is going to be competing for the women, and Noah Lyles. They're both the current world champions in the event, and they do join a handful of Americans who are considered strong favorites in Paris. But to get there, they've got to finish first, second, or third here. And that's what makes the competition here in Eugene so difficult. You're not guaranteed a spot on Team USA track and field, even if you're the world champion. And so they're looking to do that. If so, believe it or not, it would be the first time an American has won gold in the 100 in 20 years. That's on the men's side, even longer on the women's side. And if, as they think they can, that both win in Paris, it would be the first time the Americans have swept that event since 1988. All of the action starting today. Should be a terrific watch, and you can see it all in prime time right here. That's the latest from Eugene, Oregon. I'm Jay Gray. Now back to you.
It's lush green fairways.
On a gray, wet day, here's something a little brighter from across the pond. Hundreds of revelers gathered around sunrise at Stonehenge this morning for the celebrations marking the summer solstice. These celebrations are taking place 2 days after environmental protesters sprayed paint on some of these ancient stones. That has now been removed. The Circle of Standing Stones is thought to date back 5,000 years. Each year, spiritualists and tourists come to celebrate both the winter and summer solstices. Good that they were able to finally have this celebration today, and wow, what a nice bright scene there. Something very different than we're having here, Ted.
I'm looking forward to weather like that again. Well, the sunshine will come back, but it may take a while. Today we've lost the sun. We have showers and thunderstorms building. He said the grayness outside in Rochester. Heavy rainfall a concern at times today through tonight, even tomorrow. Flood watch for all of us, and the river flood warnings will continue to build, and the river levels will be going up. Totals may reach 4 to 5 additional inches on top of what we've already seen. But for highs in the upper 70s next couple of days. First alert day tomorrow with some strong storms through the early and mid-afternoon possible, and then sunshine, beautiful sunshine Sunday.
As a community bank, MBT Bank is proud